Good afternoon, and thanks for joining me once again for the summary of news and headlines from around the globe. As always, I'm your host, Pete the Roaming Prepper. Thank you for joining us. As always, don't forget, like and subscribe, or dislike if you really don't like my newscast. And don't forget to leave any questions or comments you have below the video, like we normally do. You guys know the routine. So, Reuters reports Hunter's special counsel could weigh on Biden 2024 campaign. I'm thinking, with all the revelations about Hunter, all the evidence, his laptop actually wasn't a conspiracy theory. Imagine that. Well, guess what? It's gotten a lot of attention, and the Department of Justice is already under a lot of flack for kind of treating everything with kid gloves. So they've assigned the special counsel. Will it pan out? Will it not? Who knows? All I know, it's a lot of political theater at a time when we have enemies overseas that would love to watch us kill ourselves or crater our own country. So we'll see where this goes, but Hunter clearly not out of the woods with all his drama, and we'll see how it affects the 2024 campaign. Y'all, if nothing else, I myself am going to prep, not for the UFOs, but for the kerfuffle we're going to have in the 2024 elections. Folks, this was a video here from local news on the Hawaii wildfire. Y'all, this has devastated that part of Maui. There are reports, these cars you're seeing here in this video clip, which you can go Google or look online for, those cars caught fire while they were trying to get away. And then on top of that, while the people were running toward the beach, the cars started to explode, both the electric and the gas-powered vehicles, and then started throwing shrapnel everywhere. People were getting hurt by pieces of flying car. So they swam out into the ocean, and the Coast Guard had to try and find them. It was an absolute mess. Folks, this is heartbreaking, but we can learn from this. Have a plan, have a direction. Also, no alternate route. See, everyone went straight for the highway. I don't know the island. I've been to Hawaii, and I know that they're very limited with where the roads go. You only have so many options, but we don't. Most of us have a few. Anyway, factcheck.org, which is the tool the elites use to tell us we don't know what we're talking about, is now stating that the posts exaggerate the significance of Swiss study on heart risk in COVID-19 vaccination. Essentially, the Swiss just did a study that says that the Rona-19 vaccination actually does or can cause an increase in myocarditis and a few other things. And it breaks down, and it's not only a paper, it's not a fringy paper. The Swiss Academy of Scientists has actually peer-reviewed it and approved it for publication, so it's serious. Another one in England just popped up, and the US just posted a paper about how to remove the spike protein from the Rona vaccine using a homeopathic method, a combination of diet, exercise, and vitamin supplements. I'm looking forward to some of these papers, but yeah, we weren't so conspiracy-ish after all, were we? Okay, another one from the Associated Press. Shippers are warned to stay away from Iranian waters over the seizure threat of US-Iran as US-Iran tensions high. Right now, a lot of vessels are being stopped and or seized by the Iranians. The US Navy, the Qatari, the UAE, all these other allied forces, if you will, are trying to stop the Iranians from doing this. Folks, this is not something that affects us directly, but it will affect us indirectly, because the Suez Canal is a tremendously important place for transit to occur. And if they start messing with that, they start forcing freighters, whether it's oil, gas, or goods coming from Indonesia to Europe, it's going to mess with the markets. You're going to have an increase in fuel costs, you're going to have instability because of all the elections, and you're going to have this kind of nonsense. Plan around and accordingly. The New York Post reports that China's Bertie Madoff Bernie Madoff style economy could come crashing down, and it would affect the entire world. So this analyst actually has put together pieces where he believes China's entire economy is based off of BS, basically. Their real estate, which is their big driving engine over the last 15 years, there are now reports coming out and videos that I have seen where people are falling through the floors of their apartment in these new buildings. They were made so cheaply, and the value was way overestimated, that China is basically cooking its own books. And now they realized it, and investors are realizing it, and they could come crashing down. Unfortunately, when countries get into economic turmoil, especially self-inflicted, they like to pick wars. And that just makes me annoyed. Anyway, the U.S. government would hand out up to $1.2 billion for companies to suck greenhouse gases out of the air. Now, we've all seen the carbon capture concept. We're dealing with it in the energy sector. We're seeing it in the East Coast, the West Coast. Some technology is real interesting. I've actually seen some. Some is garbage. I've seen those too. I literally walked out of one presentation and went, these guys are smoking crack or they're drunk, because that won't work. But in any case, instead of planting more trees, which will naturally beautify the environment and remove the carbon emissions and the greenhouse gases, no, we're having fires everywhere, and now we're going to pay companies. It's almost, if I was a company that wanted to make greenhouse money, I would burn down all the forests so I could get money from the US and be rich. I'm just saying. Is it me? Or does that not bother anyone else? Anyway, yeah, I think they're all sus, but that's just me speaking out loud. So, an update from the Peruvian incident. The Peru prosecutor accuses illegal gold mining gangs of posing as 7-foot aliens to scare the locals. This gang is apparently illegally mining for gold using slave labor. Yes, slavery is still a thing in this world. And they wanted the locals out of the way, but going and shooting a bunch of locals is gonna bring the army. So they were like, well, how do we stop this? Well, let's drill like the damn Green Goblin and scare the shit out of everyone. In reality, what they did was scare people away. Nobody had to get shot, and they continued to mine gold. So now the army and their federales are involved. I'm curious to see what this is going to pan out to be. Maybe I need to dress like a 7-foot Green Goblin space alien for Halloween and just walk up and down with a basket of candy, but throw it at people. Just throw the candy. You don't trick or treat, I just toss it at you. Anyway, just a thought. I might need more tequila to think about that. In any case, New York Times, a survivor makes a desperate dash into the sea to escape an inferno. So I brought this one up, and again, these articles are in no particular order. But this individual said that the only reason they knew what was happening is because they heard people screaming. There were no alarms. By the time alarms started going off, a third of the houses in that little city were being consumed by the fire. So people were literally running out in their underwear, whatever they were wearing, sleeping. I still, to this day, after having worked offshore and having been in the guard, leave a pair of shoes, pants, and a t-shirt at the end of my bed, so I can literally change and be ready to do something at a moment's notice. But this makes you think, have you planned to have to flee your house? Have you planned alternate routes to get in and out of where you live or where someone you care for lives? Think about it. I wanted to bring this article back, the energy storing supercapacitors, cement, water, and black carbon. I still haven't gotten my hands on the paper. It really bugs me, but if I get my hands on the paper, I will read it to y'all. I'll review it first, and then I'll kind of explain what they're doing. There are natural ways to store electricity. There are also stupid ways to try to store electricity that will either cause fire or they just won't work. Regardless, interesting tech. Maybe this might be another option into the future. I'm an all of the above energy guy. You get a good mix of energy, so if some of it goes down, you have other options. But that's just me, right? I'm a pragmatic guy. But if they can do something where we can store large amounts of electricity, say in a building or in a vault that could power a small town, at least keep the water running, keep the fire department going, the hospital going, hey, that might not be a terrible idea. So we'll see where that one goes. I wanted to bring this one back as well. The Motley Fool. This hasn't happened to U.S. money supply since the Great Depression, and it's typically accompanied by a big move in stocks. And sadly, that move in stocks goes down. What they're talking about is the supply of money currently in circulation, and not just physical dollar bills, but money being transferred, payments being made, the dollars, both electronic and physical, going around the marketplace. There's less between the interest rates and the increased prices and supply chain. People and companies can't afford, so they're cutting back. But as they cut back, people buy less, the companies cut more, etc., and it takes a negative spiral. We gotta see where this one goes, folks. But again, I'm thinking Q4 is gonna be really rough for us. But we're preppers. We're thinking ahead. Think now, what gaps do I have? Pay down debt, get a little extra cash, get some more food, do what you think makes sense. This is the graphs that somebody posted, and if it's kind of hard to read on this posting, but if you look, all those red negative in the chart, every single one of those preceded a recession, and that big one there was the Great Depression. So it happens every single freaking time this happens. We'll see where it goes, but we know we got this because we're thinking about it. We're paying attention. Remember, preppers need to be smart. We need to think ahead and then plan accordingly. Don't react, then you're freaking out. Anyway, moving on. Alright, so I wound up at a clay shoot the other morning. I have another one next week, and I'll tell you what, by noon it was 100 degrees, and I got a wicked heat headache. I knew that was one of the early signs of heat exhaustion. So what I did, I started parking. We had golf carts so we could drive around this track. Started parking, so I got shade. I found a towel, a work towel, in my bag. I wet it with the water bottle. We brought water because we were being smart, and I put it on my head, cooled off. The other guys were doing the same thing. We're trying to be smart. I'm going to bring a damn igloo next time and just fill it with ice, and we'll put all our drinks in there. Folks, take this stuff seriously. 107 degrees will kill you. And also, plan if the grid goes out. Do you have a plan? Because, man, if it goes out in Texas, we're all going to be feeling pretty awful. This week I wanted to do a case study. When 9/11 happened, the island of Manhattan was pretty much shut down. You guys remember that. People tried to walk on foot to get to Brooklyn, which you see on the right side of that map. The map shows just walking from the World Trade Center to Harlem, so basically from south to north in Manhattan, would take about 3 hours on foot with normal conditions. Imagine an emergency, fire trucks, vehicle accidents, people passed out, people freaking out. It's going to take way more. Houston, from downtown to the north side suburbs, is almost an 8-hour freaking walk. It's insane. It's 25 miles, 30 miles, because Houston's geographically huge. You could put New York City twice inside Houston. You need to know about this stuff. You need to plan. If I have to go on foot, am I in shape for the bug out bag or get home bag I have? Because if you're not, you're going to walk a half hour, you're going to have a heart attack, and someone's going to get your bag. Just something to think about. Not being ugly. Some travel tips for you here. Be sure to have extra shoes in your vehicle. Have weather and season appropriate clothing. Keep water and snacks, especially when it's 107, right? Travel with a cooler so you don't stop in strange places on those long road trips. I like to bring snacks and a Yeti in the back seat. That way I don't have to stop at janky truck stops with hookers and drug addicts and whatnot. Also, plan your stops in advance. Decide, I'm going to stop at this city and I'm not stopping anywhere else. And let other people know where you're going, what your route is, where you plan to stop. As always, once again, I'm going to do this reminder. Thousands of kids are trafficked weekly. Be aware of the signs and call law enforcement, call a manager, call someone if you think something's wrong. the worst that happens is you embarrass someone or you may startle somebody. But more than likely, trust your gut, folks, because things are happening right in front of our eyes and we're missing it. And a lot of us in the prepper community are former responders. We're trained and we're missing it because these bad guys are that good at hiding this stuff. So let's not let more kids, if we save one kid, I will keep preaching this, damn it, if we save one kid between now and the day I leave this earth, that's worth it. So take that number down, 888-373-7888. That is the National Human Trafficking Hotline. Of course, in the United States, you can call 911. You can even go to a store manager and say, I think there's a kid being trafficked, or I think there's someone may hurt a kid. The manager can go call the cops and just go talk to the person. It may be innocent. The kid may just be, in trouble and he's being a shit and he got in trouble and that's why he's crying. But it could be that his kid's in trouble. People don't want to get involved, but evil wins when good folks do nothing. I intend to try to do something. That's why I make these videos. That's my way of reaching out to people to give them something to think about. But you guys, keep your eyes open, educate yourself. And as always, if you want to support the channel, I have a link in my bio. It's now one link and it has all my affiliations in there. But if you want to use Roaming 10 for ReadyWise or any of the other goodies I have listed here, that's great. You don't have to donate. If you do, I do appreciate it. I don't always see the donations until a month later, so I apologize. But again, I'd rather you get a discount if you want to support me and we both win, then you just give me money. That's why I don't do a subscription service, because I just don't have time to do stuff like that. But in any case, folks, if you want to support, is appreciated. If not, share. You share my videos, it helps me too. Regardless, I appreciate you guys. I just want to have fun doing this stuff. And if you can get a discount and they send me free shit too, hey, that works, right? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes it. That is the end of this week's headline news from around the globe. Folks, be safe out there. Pay attention. Watch the trends. Watch the graphs. Educate yourself. Not to freak out, but so you can see the patterns of movement and the patterns of things happening so you can make the right decision for you. Until next week, God bless, Godspeed, and there's a special little blurb at the end of this video, so don't forget to check it out. And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to check the travel series. There are actually about a dozen or more videos in the travel series. My most recent one was the DFW Holocaust Museum. But I also do things ranging from getting around to situational awareness to TSA compliant carry-on stuff. In any case, go check them out. God bless, Godspeed, be careful out there.